Hey everybody, welcome to another video with Akati Grant Writing Services. My name is LaTwan and I'm the owner of Akati Grant Writing Services. If you've watched videos with me before, then you know this channel is all about providing free and quick resources for new and small nonprofits wanting to add grants to their income strategy. So in this video, I'm going to just provide a brief discussion on why it's so important for nonprofits to be strategic when it comes to adding grants. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first reason why having a strategy is so important is because it prevents confusion. So if you find yourself wasting a lot of time feeling overwhelmed or confused about what exactly you should be doing with your nonprofit program, what activities you should hold, what engagements you should be doing, and what resources you need, it probably means that you don't have a strategy in place, or you could have a strategy in your mind, but it's not written down or being communicated in an organized way. So sometimes you might forget exactly what your priorities are. So this is why it's so important to create a strategy, document the strategy so that you can always come back to it to keep yourself clear on what direction you should be going in, keep your team clear on what everyone should be doing so that it's not confusing and overwhelming for you. If you don't have a strategy in place, you're more likely to waste time, waste energy, burn out, and also waste your resources because you don't really know what exactly it is you should be doing to help you meet the goals of your program. And when it comes to applying for grants or writing a grant proposal, it's going to be a lot harder for you to answer application questions and really communicate about your program if you aren't clear on exactly what your priorities are, what you're going to be doing, why you're doing it, and who is going to be involved in your program. So if you don't have a strategy in place, make sure you go ahead and put that together as soon as possible. And if you do have a strategy, make sure you're constantly documenting it, updating it, revisiting it to make sure that you always have your priorities in mind and are doing things that are lined up with your goals. The second reason why a strategy is so important for your program is because it creates sustainability. So, this is sustainability when it comes to people, your personnel, but also financial sustainability. So, when you think about people, if you don't have a strategy and people are confused or there's no sense of clear direction, people are going to burn out. You will burn out from always operating out of confusion or overwhelm, but then also your team will burn out. If you're providing leadership to the people who are volunteering or people who work with you, your staff, anybody who's associated with your program, if they don't have clear direction from you, they're also going to feel confused and they are also going to burn out more quickly. So if you have a strategy, it means you can communicate more effectively about what everyone should be doing so that your people will remain more energized, remain more focused, and effective in what they do. So, financially speaking, strategy also helps you prepare to be sustainable when it comes to budgeting, knowing exactly how much your program is going to cost, being able to plan out what activities and resources you'll need so that you can prepare for those expenses, and thinking about what methods you will use to bring in revenue to make sure those costs are covered. So you want to make sure you understand that grants cannot be your only means of income. So if you have a strategy, you can think more clearly about what other ways you will raise money for your program. And this will help you ultimately grow your program, expand your program, and make sure your program is more long lasting and that you don't fizzle out too quickly. The third thing to know about strategy is that it increases your ability to truly make an impact through your program. Creating impact and bringing positive outcomes for the people you serve or who participate in your program is not a miracle. It doesn't just happen overnight. You have to be intentional about setting goals, knowing exactly what milestones you should accomplish along the way to make those goals a reality, and having a clear vision about where you're wanting to go in the long term and what outcomes you really want to see in your participants and also just in the community at large that you serve. So this means that you should be very clear on where you're going and what it's going to take for you to arrive at that destination, having a timeline, having an implementation plan, and making sure that you're really prepared to create change and bring about impact for those you serve. Sometimes when you quote unquote fly by the seat of your pants, you can actually have good success. So imagine how much more successful you could be if you make a strategy and think more long term instead of going by the seat of your pants or waiting to the last minute to figure out your next move. So this is really important and something very key to think about. Also, when it comes to tracking your success, that's very important too, because when you apply for grants, the application will most likely ask you how you know that your program will be impactful and how it will create change. So the best way for you to prove that is if you have the track record or the data and the evidence to prove that what you're doing is actually effective and that it actually does bring positive outcomes for those you serve. So the last thing that you should know is ultimately strategy is what helps you get more grants. All three of the things that I just mentioned, which is not being confused and decreasing your level of being overwhelmed, put together with sustainability, both financially and in terms of your personnel, and with creating impact, all of those things are the foundational pieces of getting grants. When you apply for a grant, you're not just telling the grant maker that you need money. It's more than just saying, our organization needs more money. It's basically you making a case to the grant maker that your program is important in the community and that you feel confident that you can create impact and put their money to good use. You're basically asking them to invest in your program or in your nonprofit. So you want to make sure you have the ability to really speak confidently about how you're going to use that money effectively and how you know for sure your program will be a good investment. So strategy helps you feel more prepared to answer grant application questions and create a strong proposal to make a case for requesting that investment. If you don't have a strategy in place, you're more likely to just fumble around and just make things up as you go and not really speak confidently and cohesively. So having a strategy is very, very important before you start applying for grants because it makes the grant application process much more smooth for you and you're more likely to be successful at winning more grant funds. So that wraps up this video, but if you want more resources about how to create a program strategy or a design for your program, program strategy can be called program design also. There are resources that you can use. I'll leave a link in the description box so that you can go to that website, look over the information, and learn how to enroll in some additional training to get more resources and make sure you have a strategy in place for your program. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can always be notified when we post more videos, and enjoy the rest of your day.